Hello everybody, welcome to this video. In this particular video we're going to follow the tutorial for route network traffic with a route table using the Azure portal. And let me tell you this is going to be one of the most important lab that you can do to gain your knowledge and really understand how traffic flows through Azure. Now we have kind of done all of this in previous videos. You can do a quick search and you will find it how to do that. Now before we do anything, so these are the tasks that we're gonna do, but let's draw some diagram and let's understand the goal, what we are trying to do. So let's create a new board for us. So let's get a brush we can draw. So the goal is we're gonna create a virtual network, okay, all right. And in this virtual network, what we want to do, we want to create some subnets, and in the subnets we're gonna deploy some virtual machines. So excuse me, so this is your VNet, okay, and in this VNet we are gonna create 3 subnets, okay. So this is, say, public subnet, okay. Say you have web server and stuff like that, you can deploy it here. You can create a private subnet and then we're gonna have a Dmz subnet. Okay, that's an aim, Dmz. Now in general, when you deploy virtual machines, say you're deploying one VM and another VM here, VM and another VM here, okay. In general, the traffic flows is they can go anywhere, okay, and Azure control how this traffic are moving from one to another. So this VM, if it wants, it can directly talk to this one. This VM can directly talk to this one or this one, and similarly this VM can talk to this one or that one, okay. So you already made a big mess. But say that you have you have some kind of requirement where you want to inspect the traffic before the traffic is going from one network to another, okay. So say your public network is 10.0.0.0/24 is your public network CIDR range of IPs. On private, on Dmz, on private let's do 10.1.0.0/24, and Dmz got 10.2.0.0/24. I mean, make sure that is the scheme that they are using, because I want to be consistent. So 10.0.0.0 for public, 10.0.1.0 and 10.0.2.0. okay, so let's change that just a little. So 10.0.1.0 for the private and 10.0.2.0 for the Dmz. Okay, maybe just clean it up just a little so you can read it a little bit better. Okay, 10.0 and then 1.0, right? So what we really want to do, we want to deploy a network virtual appliance, okay, and it could be anything. In our case it's gonna be a Windows server, okay, and what you need, say we want to control the traffic from the public to private, and we're going to deploy this NVA to this Dmz subnet. Okay, and then we're going to create a route table, and then we're going to create a route, add a route to the table. And when we add a route, we gotta select what is the address space, and that's why we're gonna say, okay, this route is for 10.0.0/24, and this route next hop we're gonna say it's a virtual appliance, and we're gonna say we're gonna provide the IP address of the virtual appliance in here. Okay, network virtual appliance. So all three you need to configure. Now this one is always a little bit confusing, so let me make sure here which IP address do you need to configure. Okay, so let's go back over here and let's look at the route table. Create NVA. I just want to look at the route. Okay, route table, route. Okay, address prefix. Okay, so the address range of the private subnet. So this one needs to be the private IP address. Okay, so that's 10.0.1.0. Okay, so what we're gonna say in this route, hey hey route, if you see there is a packet that is destined to the private subnet, okay, 10.0.1.0.24, first send the traffic to the virtual appliance which is in this DMZ, and then on the DMZ we're going to enable IP forwarding. Okay, IP forwarding. So once we do the IP forwarding on that particular VM that's hosted and that's working as network virtual appliance, this one will transfer the traffic to this particular zone. So what you're saying, that if you have any traffic destined to this address space, next hop, whatever address is requesting, send it to this MVA first and then bring it back to this network. Now once you create this route, you have to associate that to something. So we're gonna associate that route table to our public subnet. So what will that mean, that any traffic that is generating from this subnet, okay, if you want to get to this private network, in that case, since I have this route, it will not use the Azure's default networking. It will go to the network virtual appliance which is gonna be here in this network, and then it will come to the private subnet. Okay, I wanted to explain this this way before starting the lab, because you will be just doing a whole bunch of things and may not clearly understand the whole picture that we're trying to solve. So we will not do anything crazy in this lab, but now think about, since this is going through this NVA, you can use this as a firewall, you can use this as a packet inspector, like you inspect your packet, make your decision depending on what kind of traffic you wanna allow. You can drop packets if you like, you can do lots of things. So now let's go back to the lab and let's get started. So doing this lab is probably take you around an hour, so take your time. So the first thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna deploy our 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 network virtual appliance, which is going to be just a Windows 2016 data center. So let's come back over here, and what we want to do, we want to create a virtual machine and add a virtual machine, and what you want to do, you know what I'll do here first, I'm gonna create the network first, virtual network, because I think the lab got a little complicated because they created the virtual network as part of the creation of the virtual machine. So let's create the virtual machine first. Let's create a new resource group. What we'll do, we'll still use the my resource group as the root container for our deployment. Oh, where are we still virtual machine. Now we want virtual network is what we want to create first. Let's design the network. So add, and as I said, we're going to use the name my resource group. Okay, come on, say yes. Okay, so name of the virtual network, let's go down here. So name of the virtual network, I'm going to create the my virtual network. So I'm doing it just a little bit differently. I'm just going to go ahead and create my network infrastructure first before I deploy anything, and I'm using East US 2 and not the East US. The lab is recommending. So here is just going to create a virtual network. I'm going to go to the IP address, and 10.0.0.0.16 is okay. Then I'm going to create a public subnet. It will be 10.0.0.0/24. So here default we don't want it, so 10.0.0.0.24, let's click, or just call it public, because that's what we wanted for the public, right? 10.0.0.0.24. So save. So that's my public. So add another subnet, call it private, and for the private I'm just gonna change it to 1. Okay, add, and I'm gonna add another one that will be my DMZ, or make it capital DMZ subnet, and we're gonna have 10.0.2.0.24 and then say add. Okay, so I have got 3 subnets and my virtual network. Let's just make sure they're all good. So I think they're all good. So security, you don't need to worry about any of that stuff. Review and create, and let's just create the network first. Okay, so let's go back to the diagram. So what we just did, we created the virtual network, and we created this public, private, and the DMZ, all of that subnets, and now created. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to deploy the virtual machine within this Dmz zone. Okay, so it's taking just a minute. It will be deployed. Just give it a minute, because we want to use that network that we created for our next deployment. So now you can go to the next resource just to see, make sure that you go to subnets. All 3 subnets are showing up. Very good. So now go to overview, go to the resource group, and then just click add to add one resource to this particular resource group. Here is Windows 2016 data center, so click on it. Excuse me. And we're going to deploy the network virtual appliance, and I'm going to maintain the nomenclature that they're using. So my VM NVA is what I'm going to use. Okay, so here, and same region is US 2. I don't need any redundancy here. I'm providing a password. Public inbound ports. Now NVA does not need any public inbound ports, so I'm just gonna close everything. And then go to the disk. We are not changing anything. Networking, for the NVA virtual network is good, and we want to deploy that in this particular subnet, so that is also good. Again, for public IP we don't really need any public IPs, so I'm just gonna say no, don't give me any IPs. Network interface card network security group, I don't need it, so I'm just gonna say none. And then go to the management, and here, since I have a boot diagnostics, I need to create a new storage account. So let's come back and get make sure that I'm getting the right storage account. Okay, networking, I think we're good. Public IP, choose none. Management, here is the name of the storage account, so copy that one. Put that, I bet that name is not available, so I do 432, so that is now available, and it's storage general purpose v1 standard and LRS is a replication, they all look good. Next, go to advanced, go to tags, go to review and create, and while it's reviewing, let's make sure that we didn't miss anything. I think we are good. Public IP subnet Dmz disk. Okay, so what we have looks good. The only other thing that we need to look one more time is network security group, if we needed one for this particular virtual machine. So let's see, virtual machine name, region, image, username, password. Public inbound ports, none. Already have a Windows server, no. I don't see here public port rules, no. This is good. Disk networking, we have configured that. We have configured public IP, we said none. So let's go back to the networking one last time. Network security group is the only thing. Do we need it or not? I don't think I need a network security group. Well, doesn't really matter, because we will be mostly working with this inside my inside a private network. I'll just keep it as basic for now, okay? And then public inbound port, none is good. That is what we wanted. And then load balancing, we don't want to use any of that stuff. We got the storage account, advanced tags, and then we can click on review and create. Alright, looks like the validation has been successful, so I'm just going to create this particular virtual machine. So we got this virtual machine ready. So the next thing we're going to do the same process, and we're going to deploy two other virtual machines, one in the public subnet and another in our private subnet. Okay, for them we will create a public IP because we want to connect to them from outside. Okay, so let's go to home again. You don't have to wait for this deployment to be done. Click on virtual machines and just click on add, and let's create a couple more machines. So let's see, for the next machine, it's a VM public is what we want to call it. I'm going to deploy in the same resource group. Virtual machine name is this, and it's gonna be a 2016 data center. Username, and then in this case I'm going to allow this particular port. Again, disk, I don't have to worry about it. Networking, this is the public one, so I'm going to use the public subnet for this one. I do need a public IP address. NIC security group basic is fine. This is the only port that I want to be allowed, so that is good. And that's about it. Then go to management. Same storage account, that's good. Go to advanced, tags, review and create, and it will, if its validation is successful, then we'll deploy this one, and this one is going to be deployed in the public subnet. Okay, so while this is deploying, again we can go back home, click on virtual machines, and click on add, and we're going to start deployment of the third virtual machine. Same resource group, and then get the name the way we want it, my VM private. So let's get that one, my VM private, and it's again going to be a 2016 data center, and username, and password. So we got that one, and again we want to allow the 3389 port to this particular machine as well. Let's go to disk, nothing much. Networking, we're gonna use this time the private, because this is gonna be a private machine. And management looks good. Advanced, tags, review, and now create. Okay, so what we have not done yet, we have not done any route table creation. Okay, so let's go back to our dashboard. So now we have completed the deployment of this. Okay, let's see if I can find a little bit bigger. I don't know how to make it big, but we have done this virtual appliance. That's the one we deployed first. Okay, then we deployed a virtual machine within this public subnet. Then we deployed a private virtual machine. This one there is no IP, no, sorry, this is no public IP. So you cannot get to this machine from outside. If you want to get to this, you have to go to either the public or the private virtual machine. Then from here you can try to connect to this and you will be able to get to it, but from outside, like I'm in a Ubuntu machine, I cannot directly get to this machine. And now all of this is now done. Now by default we haven't configured any route table. Okay, so before we create this route table, let's review the nature of traffic. And the nature of traffic you can understand by doing init lookup on it. Okay, so how and trace route, sorry. So trace route, what it says, it will tell you what is the hop. Like if this machine is going to a router, a gateway, and from here to something, some other IP, then something else, and then to your final destination address, these will show up in a trace route command. Okay, if you have a direct access, like if you can get from point A to point B directly, you will not see any hops. You will see this and it will directly connect it to that. So we will review and first try to connect this to that, and we'll do ping without the route table and see the behavior. Then we will create the route table, add a route, and then associate that route to the public subnet, and then review the behavior again. Okay, so let's come back, and so looks like all the deployment is done. So let's just go to the resource group real quick. So if we go to the resource group, and I'm just gonna sort by type, I just want to make sure all three virtual machines are deployed. Yeah, it looks like they have been deployed. So what we want to do at this time is is do what this. Okay, so we need to enable the ICMP. By default, the ICMP traffic is disabled in Windows. Okay, if you are deploying Ubuntu, or it's default, by default it's available to you, but for Windows it's disabled. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go first and going to log into the private virtual machine. So the way we do it, I have a Remina client, RDP client with me within Ubuntu. I'm gonna use that one. So let's get to that private one. Private one should have a public IP address. I'm gonna copy that one and paste it over here, and it should give me accept. So give the username and the password. And then it should let me get in. Okay, so I just toggle the full screen mode. I'm just trying to see how it looks. Doesn't look the best. I'm just gonna go back, hit my screen. Okay, so that's the machine. That's a private. Okay, so how do I know it's a private machine? So let's open up my PowerShell. Okay, first of all, you can tell it by the IP. You can also run the hostname command, and it should tell you that this is the my VM private is where you are logged in at the moment. So what we want to do, we want to just enable ICMP traffic. So we'll just copy this command and put it over here. No, that's not what we want. Let's try it again. Copy, and then paste. And this one should enable ICMP protocol, and in a minute you should see a good nice, yeah, there we go, it's the output, and it says everything is allowed. So what it just did, it just opened up the ICMP traffic. So if I ping this machine, it will give the ICMP traffic back, so it will respond to my ping. So let's do the same thing for the other one, and the other one would be within my VM NVA. So IP forwarding, we need to let's do the other thing first. Hold on. Okay, so let's just go to the VM1 or the public VM. Let's come back, resource group, and where is my VM1? VM public. So let's log into this one. So copy this to clipboard and go back over here, paste it here, and then try to log into that one as well. Okay, and I'm gonna say okay. So this is really taking me to the other machine. Okay, this is where this machine is where we have we deployed in the public network. And what we'll do the same thing. We'll open up our PowerShell. Come on, slow. Okay, here, PowerShell, and once it opens up, what we'll do, we are first gonna run the hostname command and look at that. It's a public VM. Okay, so now if I do a ping to my VM private, okay, we should expect the pings are coming back because we have opened our ping request to the server, okay, and you know that this server has an IP address 10.0.1.4, right? If I do the same thing from here, if I try to do ping my VM public, we should not get anything back because we have not opened up any ICMP connection, right? That is the difference. So again, if we go back, if we want to do that, if we go back and we can come back down here, get the same command over here, come back down here, go to this particular VM, which is the public VM, and I can do and add the same rule where I'm opening up the ICMP traffic, or I'm allowing ICMP traffic. So if once it's done, if I go back to this machine and if I rerun the command again, now look at that, it's working. All right, now what is the next thing that we want to do? We want to do a trace route. Okay, so once this is done, trace route, they're saying do it from the VM, public VM. So let's come back to the public one. So in here we want to do a trace route to VM private. Okay, with from VM public trace route to private. Okay, so here trace RT to my VM private. So we are sending traffic from this machine to that machine, and we are trying to see what are the hops that we have to go through to get from this machine to that one. So let's click enter and see what we get back. Okay, it's not doing anything. Let me see, make sure that we need to do anything else for that. I don't think we need to do anything. No, we don't need to do anything. So come on. Yeah, there we go. All right, so see, there is only one hop. There's no hop. Directly it went, so there is only one hop from my machine to my VM private. Do you see that? So who is controlling this? Azure is controlling this. So we have no control right now on this. I'm gonna save this over here. Okay, so that is my result when we are public to private. So that is the path we are doing. No route, no user defined route present right now. So if I do the same thing over here as well, okay, so if I do trace RT to VM public, it is directly going to the virtual machine. Do you see that? So what it is telling us that right now, let's go back to our virtual machine, to our diagram again. So we have enabled ICMP on the public and the private, and then we are doing a trace route, and we are seeing this feature from public okay, to private. There is direct connection. So traffic is going directly from the public to private and from private to public. It's not going through anything else. There is no in between nodes that it has to go through. And now our requirement is that we need to send that any traffic that generates from public and it's going to private, we want to send it through NVA, Network Virtual Appliance. Okay, so that is our requirement. Then we will send it here. But if something wants to go from the private network to public, it does not have to go through the NVA. It should be able to go directly back to the public network. That's our requirement. So let's see what we can do. So to do that, now we need to create a route table. Okay, so let's go back to our lab So the section that we're gonna do next would be the creating the route table. Let me see where they have created route. Where did you create route table? Route here. Yeah, here. So route, first what you need to do is this route table. So come back over here to your Azure and just click on route table. So right now it's using the user defined route. So if I click on the route table, it's gonna let me add a route table. So I'm gonna add a route table and I'm gonna use the names of the nomenclature convention that it has. Route name is to private subnet. So that's the way that you name it. So here your name of the route table is to private subnet. Okay, so again it's east US to propagate gateway route. Yes, do that. So let's go to the next tags. We don't need to do anything. So it's just a simple container. It's just a name basically that you have just created. And here once this is done, we need to add, so let's just click on go to the resource, and here you need to add a route. Okay, this is just a container, and in this route you have to put a route name and then an address prefix. Okay, address prefix means where is the traffic going to be. Okay, so this is going to be the private will be destined to the private subnet, so that is 10.0.1.024, right? Next hop, we need to send it to virtual appliance. So from any other place, if the destination is this, we want to send that traffic first to the virtual appliance, and the virtual appliance is hosted at 10.0.2.4 hop address. Okay, and route name, what is the hop address for, what is the name of this? I want to use the same name. The route table is my route table public is what we need to create. Okay, to route associate the route table. Where is route table? Okay. The route name is to private subnet. I should have changed. Okay, let's just try that. To private subnet. So hit OK. Okay, so this route is now added. Now that's still you are not done. So now you have to associate this route to a subnet. So let's see where can we associate that. So this is still at a route table. What we'll do, I think we can do it from here, virtual network and subnet public. Okay, so what we are doing here, we are saying, hey, associate the public subnet to this particular route table, and in this route table we have a route defined. So since it's going to be associated with the public subnet, any traffic that is generating from the public traffic, if it's trying to go to the subnet 2, it will go through the virtual network virtual appliance. Okay, say okay. It should give you the network over here. Alright, I think that will associate my route table to the public network. Okay, the couple other things that we still need to do, first of all, is we need to go to the virtual machine. Okay, there are two different ways we have to enable the IP forwarding. Okay, so first is the my virtual NVA. From here I need to go to the networking, and from the networking I need to go to the network interface card, and in the interface card you go to the IP configuration, and here you see the IP forwarding. We gotta enable that, because what is going to happen when we send the traffic to this machine, this traffic is not going to be destined for this one. It has to go to somewhere else. if we don't enable that, then it's going to drop the packet. So we want to enable that and then save. And the other thing that we have to do, we have to also go in and run a command to update a registry within the Windows within this particular machine, and then restart the machine to make the IP forwarding to completely take effect. So let's just do that. So now this particular virtual machine, okay, this one does not have any public IP address, right? So there's no public IP address, but I know that it's the 0024 is the private IP address. So we can get to this machine from inside our from either the VM that is deployed in the public subnet or the private subnet. So let's see how to get to that one. Make sure that we are not missing anything. So this, I think we have all done. And how do we get? There is a command. It's pretty easy. I just wanted to use the command for you. Yeah, this is the command that I wanted to copy and use it. So now go to this, maybe go to this, this is the public. Let's make sure host name. Yeah, so we are inside the my VM public. So from here I'm trying to go to the my VM NVA. So hit enter. It should pop up this connection window. So just again provide your username and password. Okay, so once you accept your certificate, it will log in to your virtual machine. So once it's in there, again we are gonna open up our PowerShell window, and we're gonna run one last command, and that would be this. Okay, and this is gonna update one of the registry entity to enable IP router. This value it's gonna add, and it's gonna call it value is 1. So that's probably just enabling this property. So once it's coming up, you just click on over here, go to PowerShell again, get to the PowerShell. So now again do a host name just to make sure you are inside the VM NVA. Now click, copy this, come back over here, paste it. So now this is all done. So this is, once it's all done, we gotta restart the machine to take this an effect. So just call it planned hardware maintenance work. Say continue, and this machine, and it will lose connection as soon as it started. Like we lost the connection, and we are back into our public VM, right? So while this is going on, let's see. So if we try to create, so look at that, this restart happens so fast. So now I did a trace RT to my VM private. Okay, so I'm still inside my public VM. Now I wanted to go to my private, and look at that, now it's saying that I have to go through another hop before I get to the VM private, and that hop is my VM NVA. So let's copy that one, okay, and just put it back here just to prove what just happened. So previously Azure was controlling your traffic. Now with the new configuration, you are controlling the traffic. Now since we have not done anything on this VM, so if we do the same thing, if we go and still want to go to public VM from the private VM, we do not have to go through that NVA. And as you see that here, the NVA is not an option. So let's go back to our diagram for the very last time. So what do you think? Did we meet our business requirement? I think we did. So now we have assigned the route table to this public network, and we have associated. So, and we said if a traffic is assigned to 10.0.1.0-24/24, then the next hub should be the network virtual appliance, which is residing at 10.0.2.4. So from here it will go there. That's what happened. Then we enable IP forwarding in here, and it went to my final destination. From here I have nothing like that defined, so the traffic came back to the public network without going to the NVA. Now I know that I repeated this thing many times because I wanted to make sure that you guys completely understand this concept, because there could be a lot of questions. Very highly testable area. Doesn't matter whether you're preparing for 104, 303, 500, you definitely need to understand this concept very well. So with that, another thing, you probably noticed that I didn't follow the same steps that they have followed in this particular lab. I think the way I did it probably make a little bit more sense, or make a little bit more easier, I would think, at least to me. But if you feel like you can follow these steps, you can, but I would highly recommend that do this as many times as possible until you are completely comfortable with routing network traffic using your own user-defined routes and how to associate them with subnets to control your traffic. With that, if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Good luck with exam if you're preparing for one. Have a great day. Please subscribe and leave your comments.